Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 65 of the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. My name is Jeff. Alongside me, as always, are the Evan Courageous and Shannon Moore to my Shane Helms. It's Max and Craig, everyone. What's going on, guys? Yeah, it's a 3 count reference because who gives a fuck? That's
I'll take Shannon. I'll take Shannon Moore.
Yeah, whatever. You don't even know what that is, Craig. Yeah, you do.
Are we really only on episode 65?
65 feels like an eternity. I feel 65. Only doing this 2 years. It's the old show, I think, that throws it off for you, Max. But guys, thanks for rocking with us. Obviously, last week we had a little bit of technical difficulties with Craig for about a minute and a half. So if you stopped watching because of that, go back. I just didn't edit it because it was funny. But yeah, we're not really going to get into numbers. We're actually going to talk about a little about where the direction of the show is going, where we're going, and kind of what we're trying to get back to. Hey, there's a cat in the background.
Oh, that's Coco. Or Sabrina.
Coco. Also
it's both Coco and Sabrina.
The name of Ice-T's wife. Coco. Anyways.
That is not Ice-T's wife in the background, in case anybody was wondering.
There's a joke to be made there, but anywho, so yeah, just kind of what we're trying to get back to as far as we're not a company, so as a group. For very busy week for us and for the wrestling world. So we'll get into that really quick. So I posted on social media a little bit this week, not as much as usual, kind of taking a step back, and that's kind of where we're headed in different ways. So rolling into Turning Point will be a turning point for us. You're all elite, Max. Max is starting at AEW. No. Craig will be jumping off the flagship here TNAIW show, and we'll be jumping to Wednesday nights for a soon-to-be-named show with the fellow Brit to be named. And it'll be a great show. It'll be great because it'll cover European wrestling and independence in the UK scene as well, so which is always booming. So it'll be really cool to have a different perspective on it and help our lag time a little bit as well, and Craig's sleep schedule.
It'll be nice that when finally that Craig can mention European wrestlers, and the other person on the show will know who he's talking about, opposed to Jeff and I, who just smile and nod like, "Oh yeah, that guy's great." Who the fuck is that guy?
Or drop basketball references all day, and he's no loss. No,
there's European basketball, right?
Yeah, it's different because it's a different league. Yeah, it's not about the sport. It's about the players that we're speaking of, the league in which we're speaking of. Anyways,
you guys really have a British.
Yeah. Anyways, so we're a little bit on a lag as we were mentioning there, but we want to get to the show because obviously there's a lot to talk about, but we have to hit a few things first. So yeah, Craig will be departing us for a little bit, but staying on the station, growing the family, and we'll get back together for review and some preview shows and results shows or review shows. Excuse me. So it'll be good and awesome there. We got a lot of new content coming, more in volumes compared to weekly. State of Impact is in a state of flux right now, so we'll get back to that and figure that out, bringing some new heads to the team here. Just bringing some friends to the table and into the group and into the fold to help us make this easier and let us get back to enjoying what we love, which is fucking professional wrestling. I think for a while we were so worried about numbers and talking to a certain 74 people, we weren't talking to the millions that we want to reach, not just for wrestling, but as human beings. So I want to focus on that and stay, not necessarily positive is the wrong term, because that puts on a spin on it that we don't want to hear criticism. It's just all about intent and all about delivery and tone. We want to get back to having fun with wrestling, which is something I've loved since out the womb. So get back to having some nonsense and fun. Thank you for rocking with us. We love you guys. Just more and more and more stuff to come. Stick with us and stick with us through the eventual rebranding of this channel, and a little nugget I'll drop there for you guys. Craig, with that being said, what do you want to say? What's the top 10?
Yep, so as Jeff mentioned, we have some power rankings coming your way ASAP. If you agree, disagree, let us know. If you want to be part of the rankings committee, hit us up wherever you find us. I'm sure we can add you to the rankings committee. But who made it to number one this week?
Let's check it out.
Hi there, this is Dr. with Rangers of Wrestling, and here's your TNAIW top 10 for this week. Number 10, Knockouts Tag Team Champions, The Inspiration. Number 9, Top Knockouts Contender, Mercedes Martinez. Number 8, W. Morrissey. Number 7, Number 1 ex-contender, Laredo Kid. Number 6, Minoru Suzuki. Number 5, X-Division Champion, Trey Miguel. Number 4, BBD's Eric Young. Number 3, KO World Champion, Mickey James. Number 2, The Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander. And number 1, Moose. That was your top 10 Impact Wrestlers of the week. Do you agree? Let us know at TNAIW channel. Back to you guys.
Awesome. Do you agree? I want to say, I know she's in the chat there, Taya, you are the best. Make sure you add her there. You can see her there. And on Twitter, it's almost the same. It's at DATILA_. I want to say that since she's watching for the first time, she gave me this really cool. I was like, hey, can you give me something on number 1 that a little different than normal, like a little bit of more hype or whatever. And she gave me this bomb-ass one, but because I'm lazy and there's only 4 seconds to fit it, it was about 6 seconds of audio. But I hope we could get it on something because it was really cool, man. But thank you, as always. A great addition to the team. So, all right. Craigward, they all can hear you now. We can hear you. Let's do some fucking talking.
Alrighty then. Let's kick it off with this week's Impact on Access TV and Ultimate Insiders. We started off with Laredo Kid defeating Black Taurus, Macklin, and Rohit Raju in a 4-way to become the new X Division number 1 contender. Johnny Swinger trying to raise funds for a new casino. The Inspiration recruited the Under Bridesmaids. Eric Young is back and defeated Jay Vidal. Apologies if I butchered that name. In what felt like seconds, but probably about a minute or two. A no contest was called between the Good Brothers and Finjuice after an interference by the Bullet Club. Mickey James successfully defended her Knockouts World Championship against Madison Rain. Chris Sabin defeated Madman Fulton. And in the main event, Morrissey, Moose, and Suzuki defeated Eddie Edwards, Josh Alexander, and Matt Cardona. Thoughts, feelings on the show, what you liked, what you didn't like so much, and just the direction Impact's heading in. How we're liking the show and where it's been presented so far. Let's kick off with Max. Kick off this week.
I liked the show. I thought it was really good. I thought the whole Iconics Inspiration, whatever they're called, their whole little thing where they were going to be interviewed, and then Decay showed up and they went hunting for the Underbrides. I actually liked that part. I thought it was funny. It's good comedy there. I really liked the main event. I thought it was fun to see those 6 guys team up. Suzuki to me is someone who I don't know what he does in the remainder of the tapings, but I hope he's in a hardcore match at some point because I just like the guy in general. I like the conversation where they talked about he's old school. He doesn't. You see him. He's not wearing the knee pads. They just kind of brought up some little things like that I thought were interesting things that realistically, had they not brought up, I never would have it would have been something that I thought of. But since they brought it up, I was like, oh, that is interesting. He doesn't wear knee pads. I did know he was an MMA fighter. He started Pancrase, as I had mentioned. I think it was 2 episodes ago. He has a legitimate win over Ken Shamrock. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm excited for the I almost called him Lince Dorado. He was one of the guys who was released. Laredo Kid versus Trey match. I think that's going to be really good. I'm also interested with Bullet Club interference. I'm interested to see where that whole storyline goes. I'm interested because it's those 3 guys, and I like that they are kind of Bullet Club in Impact. And we had talked about them bringing other people in, but I'm interested to see where that goes and if this does lead to them winning and possibly doing a like Freebird rule where Bullet Club is champions and they just rotate who wrestles, kind of like VBD did. No. I think that would be interesting for them as well. So I thought it was a good episode. It kept my interest. I thought that I also liked, I think it was just kind of a throwback because I wasn't here, where they talked about where Josh brought up, because I wasn't here for last week's episode, but where Josh brought up the fact of, hey, he rang the bell with my family in the ring. I thought that was something that we talked about it. I know Jeff and I did, and I thought that was a really good thing that Impact added in of, hey, my wife and kid were in the ring. Why did he ring the bell kind of thing? It kind of continues that storyline and kind of brings up just how disgusting what Moose did. So I thought overall, it was a really good episode. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I don't have notes, but if I did, I think I would be crossing most of it off right now. For as an overall show, I thought it was good. I'm gonna rewatch it. As I always say, I don't like making a formal opinion on something without rewatching it once or watching it again. Just because, especially when you're critiquing something or taking it, whatever. Sometimes in the moment when something doesn't happen the way you want it to or look the way it should or whatever, maybe it might throw you off from what's actually happening and take a step back. So I haven't got to do that, to be honest with you, this week, but it's been a little bit of a week. But most of what you said, I agree with. I think, the icon. Jesus Christ! I rolled my eyes at you saying Iconics, and then I said,
"Sorry." I mean, it's just what I'm used to calling them. Just like if all of a sudden AJ Styles was like Alan Styles, I'm like AJ.
Yeah. 4 years to 22. Yeah, in the game.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's what I've called them for like so long ever since I've seen them. So.
No, I know. But I was saying I wasn't going to say it. But anyways, the inspiration. I like the idea of the segments. Obviously, a Ghostbusters reference in general. My daughter's going to bed. Hey. The idea of that, it felt very old TNA and not in the bad way. I used to love those backstage segments, and JB or Chrissy would be part of them, or Shane Douglas, even you want to throw it back. Cookie Gate, like those kind of like little things that...
The Young Bucks
popping in for $200. So I dig those kind of things. And would I like production to be better on those? For sure. Of course. But when money comes in, I'm sure money will go into it. So for now, I thought it was entertaining. It was a nice way to actually form the Undead Brides officially without us just bantering about the Undead Brides. They're actually announced as the Undead Brides. They're a team. They're going to have a match. So I thought that was really cool development. And we're talking about, or at least I am, for the past 2 minutes, about a segment that was featuring the Knockout Tag Team Champions. So for all that rhetoric we had prior, and rightfully deserved, about maybe it not getting... They weren't ready to give it the platform they did. And I think that's more happenstance. I think that was stuff that happened behind the scenes and from the scenes that just kind of put that in a weird position for them to rush it or feel like they rushed it. But they're hitting the right spot here. And we're talking, I'm talking now 3 minutes about the Knockouts Tag Team division. it's just you can't go wrong with that little continuity and or development, excuse me. And to touch what you're talking about with Josh Alexander, there's just a lot of little things like that, little big things, as we call them, that are little big things. They're those little extra creativity, that little extra wink to something that sets it up more so for the viewer. I just dig it. I dig what they're doing right now. Of course, things could be, cleaner or better written in some spots, but I dig what they're doing. The Bullet Club thing I didn't think of until you mentioned about just maybe focusing on that's the group, the trio. That's them. Stop suggesting GOD. Stop suggesting Jay White's going to come back tomorrow, or this is the group we're running with, and I wouldn't mind that. It feels, and I don't mean this in the bad way, but NWO black and whitish. Like at the end, you know what I mean? Like it's like three guys, they're still names, they still have the logo, they still have the music, but it's cool. Like you still get that rub and you still get that, but they're not going for world titles, and I like that.
Yeah, they're young guys. I think if you want to, Kenta just won the IWGP US title, so you can have him pop in if you need a fourth, where he's not like it's not the leader. It's other guys in the group, and they're still Bullet Club. So I like it. I think it's a good thing for them.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think of some of the other things that really caught my attention. I'm gonna miss it. Shout out to, what was his name? Jay Vidal. Shout out to our Boots, our old friend Kirk Vidal. I don't know if you're related, but thought that was pretty cool. I popped for that. Great pile driver, by the way. I thought they did a great job of boosting him up. I thought, the Madison match, although quick, or not quick, excuse me, the setup for it was quick, was a good wink back. They're doing the right things, and that rolls into my last point that I want to make, which is about Trey. They're doing right by their champions. So, obviously, we already talked about the inspiration. We obviously talked about Moose. We already built his top, opponent in Josh Alexander. He's going around. You're building these viable champions and contenders, and I really dig that. So with Mickey in that one, they gave you a quick throwback. Okay, well, she needs to defend. We don't know how long she's going to hold it from our eyes. Let's give her, who do you set her up with like this without throwing them under the bus? Madison, they have history. So there's those little things like that. Trey didn't have someone. They're technically kind of rebuilding that X Division because Josh was the X Division. Now, granted, he had opponents, but it was more about Josh's story of him bringing it back to prominence. So now with Trey, who had no one who was, besides maybe Macklin as his, rival per se, this gives...
Macklin and ELP would be the only two.
Yeah, but ELP and him didn't have history. So, Macklin and him at least had some lead up. So what I think with this I really dig is it's getting back to what we've been preaching for a while, is when you have a champion who you're not trying to make dominant per se. Trey's doesn't have to be dominant to be successful. That's not his shtick. You can do that old school style of X Division where, hey, I'm defending this almost weekly or bi-week or whatever it is, or twice a week or twice a month, excuse me. So I can lose it at any time. I do need new challengers that don't necessarily have heat with me that's really deep in a big program. So I dig those little things that they're doing. It looks like you wanted to say something. Did you have something to...
I would say one thing I did want to talk about because I wasn't here last week. Moose's promo, his whole I'm not the man, you can create a new day of the week.
Sure.
That promo to me was absolutely amazing. I think it was super star. It was a star promo. It's one of those promos. So I want to say that. And also for Trey, I think his biggest history, if you want to think about anybody on the roster, would be Sami Callihan. From that, so I think that could be one. Well, further down the line.
I mean, much further, like a year and a half.
but I'm just saying, if he, I don't know if he still was champion, but when Sami comes back, if Trey is champion, or when Sami comes back, I would like Trey to be champion because I would like an interaction between them where he talks about the stuff where he was trying to make confirm. I think that, I mean, it's I know it's not going to happen on this run. but it's just kind of one of those things that I feel like it's one of the things I am disappointed that we will miss out on this run, because there's zero chance he holds that. Maybe he holds it for a year and a half.
Well,
who knows? Maybe this is
I'm over. I hope it's not a year and a half, but he's definitely obviously broke his fibula or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying, but it's still like that to me would be his one like really cool. But that, like you said, that's super far down the road. But still,
yeah. My God, it's Alan Jones. Yes, it is. I want to take a shout out to everyone in there that I know from the old chat and from the group and the team. Lucha, I saw that you're driving, so you can't type anymore. But hey, buddy, I see you in there. Who else is in there?
Please don't do 156, Lucha. That's
Jesus, Max. There's no. But speaking of speed, number 2. Let's. Jesus Christ.
I work in insurance. That was a huge conversation. We had a lot of conversations about that.
All right. Nice little transfer there. So, yeah, if you missed it, last week, whenever it was, after a Destiny live show, after the match with Josh Alexander, Scott Moore came up to the ring and offered Speedball Mike Bailey a contract with Impact Wrestling, which he signed and is now a signed Impact wrestler. Still waiting on visa issues, no details on how long the contract is for. But I mean, to me, I'm super excited. How you guys feeling about Speedball arriving in Impact, and how is it a game changer, or can it be a game changer?
Didn't he sign a contract on Josh Alexander's back?
Yes,
he did. That was cool.
So first, I'm hoping that his arrival is a little bit down the ways. Obviously, he was banned from the U.S. for 5 years, and I say that selfishly. The reason I want that to happen is because I hope your new show is set up, Craig. So when you finally have his first match in Impact, it could be your debut episode. You just go crazy. Because Craig has been, if you're a fan of the show or in and out even, Craig mentions all the time about when we bring up someone on more of the independent scene of who you would bring in, and it would be Speedball Mike Bailey. So kudos to you, man. I hope you are, I know you're ecstatic. So yeah, I'm not going to lie and say I know too much of him. But I will say this, all the research I've done afterwards, obviously what other people are saying, including Josh Alexander, I, of course, will make an opinion for myself. But when you have Josh Alexander saying this is going to be down the road a 5-year steal, this is going to be a steal down the year, and the fact that they said 5 years is interesting. I doubt that's what it is. We're not AEW. Obviously, they're not all elite. But with that being said, something, and I say this, and I mean this, there's a loyalty means a lot to people depending on who you are. Well, so let's put it that way. But loyalty generally means as much as financial security, because you know that person when the money's gone or the money's whatever, there's those people that have your back still. Okay? Impact, and maybe I'm wrong, but from every interview I'm seeing and everything he's saying, Impact helped him get his visa working and get back in there. WWE was about to do the same, backed out at the last minute or something that went to a different direction. I'm guessing NXT. He has back to square one. Josh, through Destiny, and I'm sure Scott, put it all in order, got this guy right, got him in America, giving him an opportunity. And I think right now, is it a game changer? No. It's not, because you got people like me who are ignorant to and don't have time to a lot of independent wrestling. But in a year's time, will we be looking back and say, oh, shit, guys, no one had Josh Alexander on their radar. Impact cared, gave him an opportunity again. He talks about it. We've all seen the video packages. Ace Austin, Chris Bay, Trey Miguel, now Mike Bailey. These are guys who, in time, if not already, are names. Building their names, but still names nonetheless. So I have no problem with where Impact is bringing in some, I don't know if we struck out or swung and missed or visas or whatever that it's coming out about Bound for Glory and Impact bringing in new talent, whatever it may be, whatever your perception of that is, even if it's the worst, to execute this quickly, and I'm sure it was obviously going down behind the scenes for a while, working on it, but for them to reassess and start signing top indie talent as a maybe plan B or a plan 1B, I think it says a lot about management. So I'm excited for both. I want to see what Craig's been hyping this guy out for this time, and excited.
So, I mean, is it a game changer now? No, because like you said, I mean, independent guys, I think, unfortunately, unless you're like a huge person who's just refused to sign for a long time, aren't game changers. But like you said, Impact does a really good job of bringing people in and creating something for them. Macklin was really nothing special in WWE. Deanna was a jobber in WWE. Morrissey has looked amazing since he's gotten there. So there's been Tasha was built up really well since she's been there. So I'm just kind of looking through the roster. So they do a really good job of when they bring somebody in, giving them stuff to do so they don't simply just get lost in the shuffle. Obviously, Drama King has been great since he's been there. So I think it's one of those things. He's only 31 years old. He's also engaged to Veda Scott, so maybe she comes as well. I don't know. I liked her in ROH. But either way,
it's nothing to do with that. It's just I hate that rhetoric of you have to work where your husband or wife works.
I don't think you have to, but I'm hoping it gives you an advantage to get some people in the door, right? Maybe. So no, I think he's 31, so he's not so young that he's like brand new to wrestling, but he's not so old that if you don't push him in the next year, you're wasting his prime.
Right.
Like he's just kind of hitting that perfect spot. So I think it's something that Impact has done a great job building people, and I think he's someone that you can build on. I don't know. I mean, you said somebody I saw in the chat said he's not going to be in there until January. I don't know if they'll do any promos about him being like allowed back, like that type of a promo to build him. I think that might be interesting, but I don't know if that's something he wants to bring up. The fact, hey, you were banned from the country. Like, is that really something you want to? But I don't know. So I think it'd be great if I was banned from Canada and I was going to go wrestle there. You bet your ass, my promo would be about the country locking me out because I'm so amazing.
I'm banned from one Sam's Club behind the Chesapeake Fridays, and that's it. Nothing else. It's a different story for a different time. But no, I see what you're saying. I never thought about that. It would be a cool vignette, because what I was going to say, and Treehouse, was if they, and I didn't know when he came back at all until you mentioned it there, so thank you for that. January it seems to be, and I'm sure that has to do with the logistics of it all. If they do vignettes about America keeping him out, could play really well into this new Josh Alexander vibe of thinking everyone else is out to get him, Team Canada kind of shit. That'd be something to look out for, because him and them together might be something cool. You add Taya, well, we'll get into all that. There's a lot coming, right? There's a lot coming. Hopefully.
Yeah. And just before we go to the next, I just want to say that with Speedball, he said it himself for years, and I'm just going to put it out there because I completely agree. Speedball Mike Bailey is the best wrestler you've never heard of. And I'll just leave it at that. Because we have to move on to... It is unfortunate news. It shouldn't have, but it's WWE, so what can you do? A few days ago, they released more superstars from their roster. I have a list here. Apologies if I've left anyone off, but we have Keith Lee, Frankie Monet, a.k.a. Taya Valkyrie, Ember Moon, Karen Kross and Scarlett, Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado, Harry Smith, a.k.a. Davey Boy Smith Jr., Mia Yim, Eva Marie, B-Fab, Oni Lorcan, and Trey Baxter. Again, I probably left someone off. I apologize. Unfortunately, there's a lot to go through. How do we see... Do we see any of them maybe making her to Impact. Obviously, it sucks that it's happened once again. But yeah, how do we see this all unfolding? Max, who starts off?
So the WWE has released over 70 people since the start of the year. They've literally released an entire company worth of people. So I definitely think there's some names on there that Impact should look at. I think that it's also good for Impact in the sense that AEW has signed everybody. And every wrestling company, their owners, the people in charge, when they're thinking up their roster, they have a set number of people they're thinking, hey, our roster can be X amount of people. And then what happens, and it happened with WWE, it happened in WCW, I'm sure it's probably happening in AEW, somebody comes out that you want, like, okay, well, we'll grab them. That's only one person. And one person turns into 5, and you're like, okay, well, we can handle 5, and then 5 turns into 10, and 10 turns into 15, and now you run into a situation where you can't use everybody. And I think that's AEW, if they're not there, they're close. You can only throw so many people into the Elite or into, like, stables to just try and get them on TV. So I definitely think there's options for people here. I think, obviously, Taya, I think, is someone that they could use. Ember Moon is definitely someone they could use. I would love for Keith Lee to come in. I think he's absolutely amazing. Mia Yin / JADE, I think she would be great as well to add. I'm a little bit torn on Killer Kross and Scarlett. I think they're great. I think he would be a huge get. But I also know there were some issues previously. And I don't know how easily those smooth over, and I don't know the extent of the issues. It may be somebody that you pass on him to kind of look at other people. I really think the biggest options here are Keith Lee, and then really the ability to bolster up your knockouts division is really the people they should be going for. So that's kind of who I have.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, no matter who you say out of that group gets a job somewhere, I'm happy. I don't care where or who or what, and that goes for anyone. Even if I think they're the drizzling shits, this many people losing jobs. It's the same with the ROH stuff. All these people. Man, look. Once again, there's a, not to lecture, but these are, at the end of the day, peel it back, look back, and not saying you can't have that opinion, but at the same time, when we're booking fantasy matches before we're, hoping so they can secure their job, let's, go buy their tees, go pro wrestling, whatever that pro wrestling tees, do what you can. With that being said, let's play some fantasy book. No, the first thing I want to mention is that it is Taya Valkyrie, a.k.a. Frankie Monet. It'll never be. It'll never be the other way around. God bless her. Look, she obviously has that tie-in, pun intended, with us. Impact obviously respects Taya Valkyrie. Deonna was 31 days out, and they could have cheaply gave her another. Not cheaply, she earned it, but give her another, notch on her belt there, and said that she's the longest reigning knockouts champion of all time. But they let Taya have that, and rightfully so. I said that week after week. Taya is, I think, loved by management more. Is the only people in this world that love Taya more. Maybe besides Morrison, and her family. You get what the fuck I'm talking about. Is the management. I really think they respect her. I don't think they'll throw the proverbial bag at her, but I think she'll knock on wood, come back and go for number 2, because she's only held the title once, right? Am I mistaken? Just that.
I think so. Reign? I think it was just one long reign.
Yeah.
Let me look.
Yeah, come for number 2. I think that's a written-in storyline. She could come back with, Lucha Royalty, or she could come back as Team Canada, which I think would be really dope. A more serious not playing around Taya would be really cool. Keith Lee's obviously a big name, but I don't obviously hate AEW. I don't want them to sign everyone. Everything Max said was very nicely said. I also saw Tatia in there said that what she thinks is he'll never release anyone. He'll just let their contracts expire. I think that's more likely the case. He wants to save face on a PR stand. And I don't want to get into all that. I don't want to get into all that.
No, I agree. Yeah. I just don't think he'll sign any more people.
And that's not what she was alluding to, and that's not what I'm alluding to. I'm just saying I think that's for his PR and the ass-kissing the image he likes to keep. I don't think he'll do that.
Yeah.
But I think for their sake, and not to break it down as simple as this, but fuck, AEW needs a dominant black athlete like that in the men's division. Like they need some kind of what is that called?
Diversity.
Yeah, diversity, but stable. I'm trying to say stable. It's just. That's one of the things that AEW, and it sounds so silly, but there's one thing with AEW. Small white guys, or they're throwing some people in there and they're getting there. But it just feels forced at point. I don't know. Representation, there we go. Hey, I want some representation for not just different race, but different cultures and different not just the same shit. And that's what I think I get there. Yeah, you get the lucha vibe as well, but anyways, I digress. There's a Tazism. But I think they would have him. But if he wants to come to Impact, I am not shutting the door on a Keith Lee. Keith Bear Claw Cat Lee. Him versus Moose is a match that I would, book even if he was, outside of this. So there's that, Taya. There's Davey Boy Smith Jr. is probably the person that I say is, I don't want to say game changer, but. And I hate making this comparison because I don't want to shit anyone when they're down, but we had someone who I think is the equivalent of that and can be what we had Mike Elgin for a period of time, and what Mike Elgin brought to the table, that I'm here to wrestle, I'm here to win, I'm stock, whatever, however you want to word it. I think Davey Boy Smith fits that role. I like that role, and I hope he comes aboard. The controversy, if you want to call it that, is the Scarlett Killer Kross, right? What do you do? Here's the way I look at that. How long has it been? At least 2 years? Okay.
How long we've been doing the podcast? Because he did one of our very first intros. So to be fair, if he comes back, we can reuse that intro. Just like I'm hoping Lance Archer joins up with Davey Boy Smith, because then we can go back and use our super old Super Kick Wrestling podcast intro. Yeah, so really, if we're looking at gaining value, I think Killer Kross would be great to come back.
So here's the thing. Besides for wanting my $35 to be,
it was 64 episodes ago is when he was.
Oh man, nonsense. All right. So it's been a few years. I like to think people mature, and I think that's on both sides. Don is not a player when it comes to management anymore, and I'll leave that at that. So I think that helps. And we can suggest and say, oh, fuck this person. Once again, job. 2, talent. That pairing together, we never got to see it in Impact. Imagine the scorched earth Killer Kross that would come back to Impact with Scarlett by his side. I mean, talk about instant. And Moose is our champion right now. Instant storyline built in there. Instant to come back and destroy and kill the promotion that I just think there's so much artistic creativity, nuggets of gold that could be if they can just figure it out, not sexually harass anybody, pay them up, and take the thing there. So yeah, I think there's a lot of people, and I know let's move on to roster page and turning point, but Killer Kross and Scarlett, no matter who you are, good on television. Stars.
Yeah, that seems fair. Okay, so let's move on now to Impact Wrestling, who have removed a few people from their roster, but get your thoughts and feelings on how if his changes much. But they have removed TJP, No Way, Taylor Wilde, Tommy Dreamer, and PT Williams. Yeah, just does it affect Impact that much? And just what's your thoughts on people that they've let go, if they even have let them go?
Yeah, no, I don't think they're. I think we talked a little bit about this before the show. I don't think anyone's let go. Most of these people are per deal things. AC Romero was the last person I think that we know that was let go, and that was a mutual release of his contract, which he was per date as well, I believe. So I think Taylor is just her thing, with obviously living in Canada, if I'm not mistaken, having children, she's a firefighter. So I think there's a lot of life in. It's not the talent. She's come back. She's proven that. I think we all enjoy when she's on the screen wrestling. So I think it's a matter of when more than if. Tommy Dreamer. One could say that they would be surprised that he was on the roster this long after the controversy in the right side. But what I take out of that is, yes, Impact Management said one thing, which is our handed down whatever, and rightfully so, based upon that climate at the time. But they never took him off, and to me that was a stand by whoever did it. And if it wasn't, even though it changes all the time. Even though they need to change Trey and Jordan and Moose's pictures. I'm glad he's up there, but what I think it means for Tommy doesn't mean he's not coming back. I think it means we're not going to see him on screen. Cool. Petey, the same. He got that tryout with WWE as a producer. If he gets it, good for him, man. He's too talented and has too much knowledge for him not to. But if he comes back and he's a producer for us, he wouldn't be back on the roster page that was either, unless he, starts to wrestle again, i.e. him or Chris Sabin. Who am I missing here? TJP. Okay, so TJP is freelance. Obviously, we know the deal with him as far as MLW, but he's more, taken to them. Obviously, people give him shit about the masks and all that stuff too, and I don't know what the restrictions are in Las Vegas, so is what it is. So at the time, and No Way Jose, that was the other one. No Way was a last-minute replacement, to my knowledge, at Slammiversary. And he did his part. I thought he came in, he proved himself as a different, in a different light, even though same gimmick, in a different light than I had put him in when he was in WWE and in NXT, because that's what he was. I would like to see him get another chance. I would like to see an idea I came to play, or say a few months ago, episodes, I don't know. It all rolls into one. LAX coming back with led by Tasha, and Hernandez, and maybe him. I think that might be cool. Give him a different let this athlete and this, for lack of a better term, actor play a different role. And he's got it built in there. He's a big dude. If you saw him in person, I believe, Max, right? He was at Slammiversary.
Yes, I did. I was there.
So I think he has the. What? I didn't know if he was at Slammiversary or the day after. Fuck off.
Oh, I thought you forgot if I was at Slammiversary. I was like, really?
Craig, what was it? Some people hear things in the way that their mood is. Simmer down.
Yeah.
They're stop projecting. All right, yeah, but no, big losses in the grand scheme of things. No. Do I like every single one of them? Yes. I hope most of them are just brought back.
So, Petey, I mean, good luck to him. Hopefully WWE can use his talents. I mean, they need something. They already stole his finisher. Everybody uses it now, so. Who knows? Tommy Dreamer, kind of agree with you. Surprised he lasted as long as he did. I think if he comes back, it would be in a backstage role, and I don't think you put people who have no on-screen presence on your roster page. That just doesn't make any sense. TJP, I mean, he was supposed to be at Slammiversary, wasn't there, and I don't think we've seen him since, right? Like, he hasn't been...
Slammiversary? Yeah, he came back.
He came back
he
for
did
anniversary for about 2 weeks.
the party
did he?
man, with the broom. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't even remember. I thought it was just Slammiversary.
Cost Pete a match against Macklin.
Okay. But I mean, either way, he was kind of in and out. I think obviously, I don't know about I don't know about the vaccine mask situation, but I mean, I like TJP. I think he's an amazing wrestler. I think he's always someone who could come back. He'd probably be the one person I would say, man, I really wish that he could come back. I do think Taylor Wilde is good to have in the Knockouts division. I read somewhere that she plans on coming back. She's taking a little break now, so that'll be good. And then, honestly, for No Way, I kind of agree with you. He came in, he did what he was supposed to. Unfortunately, with the No Way Jose character, unless you're going to bring him in and he's just going to job out, it's a really kind of it's funny at first, and it's okay, cool, and excited, and then it's just kind of like, all right, it's interesting,
but it books you into a wall. Like there's nowhere to go.
Yeah. You're not going to make him a champion, so it's really just going to be one of these people who kind of comes in, looks strong early, loses, kind of like the boogeyman is kind of the way I look at it, to where it's just kind of like, oh, it's a cool gimmick, but at some point, like once the gimmick's gone, it's just kind of like, okay, like cool to bring back periodically, but not somebody. And realistically, I mean, if we're looking at it, removing these people from the roster page opens up spots for other people. Yeah. And with ROH shutting down, rebranding, whatever. Much like we rebranded Super Kick Wrestling Podcast into 3 years later talking nonsense, they will probably 3 years from now rebrand as well. But with them and with all the releases, it allows you to add these people and not have to worry about salaries that you have for other people or where we can put them. So I think it's there's two people I would like to see come back, but for the most part, I don't think they're massive losses for Impact. This wasn't Moose we lost. This wasn't, Josh Alexander or Jordan Grace or anything. Fair enough. ROH cannot possibly be in debt. The company that owns them has so much money, they could...
See, yes, but here's the...
So ROH could be. Their parent company is
There
not.
You go. And that's...
But they didn't...
That's the key, even with us. People argue all the time about Anthem having money, not having money. I don't believe they have as much as people think they do. And we are a small company. But Anthem runs Impact, and Impact Management runs it as if we are a small market team. We live within our budget. If we are in the black, we put it back into the pot, and it becomes the red again. Then we go back to the black. They're just putting it back in. They're feeding themselves and trying to gain traction. So
I think ROH realized...
Maybe ROH does the same.
I don't know if you talked about it. I just think they realized that, I mean, it's super hard to find. It's kind of used as filler for their network. Yeah. And I think they realized, hey, instead of pumping all this money into ROH, especially now when we don't have people, we can put another wrestling show on at half the cost. Wow. And we'll still be fine. I think that was what happened with ROH.
Well, and it's possible, but the thing with ROH is this. In the same thing, I know we're going off, but hey, fuck it, right? That's what's supposed to be, a conversation between friends.
Because I wasn't here last week, so I didn't get to talk about it.
So ROH has always been the place that births the stars of tomorrow. All right. I remember chanting FCW at Tyler Black when he outstayed his welcome in ROH. Like everyone, it was the place before you went to the place. And they took a swing and they did well. And then, honestly, the Elite fucked them. Let's be honest there. And I won't say, maybe that's too strong. Obviously, we don't know the conversations or the tones or the intent of those. But for all...
They definitely put too much behind those people. They put all their eggs in one basket, and when they left, there was nothing they could do.
Yeah, the eggy Elite basket was all smushed up, and they were left with nothing. And not nothing, there was still talent there. And that's the thing that, to wrap that up with them so we could get onto this next thing, promote Impact, is they've always been successful at running with talent that not necessarily is exclusive. Then they took the swing like we did, and sometimes you have to take a step back. So maybe they do rebrand. The name still has value. The fans that know it, ROH means wrestling. like wrestling. And I think there's a value to that brand. What is that called? Selfishly, I like Impact to buy the library and if we had the money, Impact to throw some in and buy the library and the IP, because that would be a second show that would be dope. We have a lot of people that's there. Our champion was ROH. Our previous champions were ROH. Oh, there we go. Beautiful segue on accident.
I was going to say I have one
just real quick. The trivia question from last week was how many crossover champions technically do we have with ROH? How many wrestlers that have wrestled at Impact and won championships have wrestled for ROH and won championships? The answer is 22. 22. That's something. So sister company indeed. Max.
I would love for Impact to buy ROH's library. I'm sure AEW with Danielson and
they're gonna
Punk are going to throw a ton of money. I'm sure Vince is going to throw a ton of money at it because that's what Vince does. The one thing, though, if we can't get the library, that I would love for Impact to do is see if they can buy the rights to the ROH Pure Championship. I think it's an interesting championship that has different rules, and I think that you can brand it as eventually bringing back the very first Pure Champion for one final run in Impact.
He's coming back for... So even on the prodigal son finally comes back, and he comes back for the ROH. That's just a kick in the nuts.
Hey, man, why not? He's the Raw Tag Team, or he was the Raw Tag Team champion. He's over there doing nothing. Why not be like, hey, man, you were the first one to ever hold it. Hold it one last time.
Let's get into Turning Point.
And that's true. Yeah, their library does include All In, which is why Vince is going to throw every penny he has just to be a dickweed.
Well, maybe that, but at the end of the day, I think he doesn't... Vince's game is this, and I give kudos to Vince in this. Just like ROH is now, unfortunately, ran by... You answer to... Sinclair, I imagine, answers to stockholders. Are they a publicly traded company?
I think so. Let me look.
Okay. Even if not, they answer to the bottom line. They're big enough to say that. So to them, if something's in the red, they don't have heart. There's no ROH lore. There's no love for the promotion.
It's a publicly traded.
Publicly traded, yeah. So there's not that person who says ROH, I'm going to bring that back and give it rest in that house anymore. So that scares me. So I hope Vince doesn't. But I think Vince's game at this is that he doesn't care. He's cutting some of the biggest names that have ever been released in the most recent era of wrestling all at once. I mean, in a time span, the amount of talent that has been released, because he's saying, I don't give a fuck. We are a publicly traded company. We run like a smooth machine no matter what. NXT is here to build the stars of tomorrow, and none of the stars are tomorrow for me, Vince McMahon, are in my farm system. It's all a bunch of guys who are famous on the indies that I'll never use. He got a couple looks down there. He went down there and he saw amazing talent, but that isn't right for what he likes, not his vision. So to him, what do? You cut those people. And you say, it's not going to hurt me. We'll still keep running. And they do.
And that's what he's doing this week. Next week, who knows? Because it's Vince. And
I don't care. But at the end of the day, Tony Khan needs to shut the hell up. I'm going to say that too. Even though I appreciate AEW. Unless you're going to go head to head, I don't want to hear you say nothing, bro. I'm with Bishop.
I agree with that.
Yep.
You can't. Yeah. You can't talk about what you're doing on a different night against different competition. Yep.
Don't care.
I can't talk about being the fastest man in the world when I won't race the people who are actually, look at me. Like, it's just, you're not.
And it's not like the Jaguars are playing on Monday nights. So, I mean, come on, dude.
I mean, yeah.
They're with the Dolphins.
And if they were, Raw still is probably going to outdraw them whether you're on TV or not, because it's the Jaguars.
There is no war. There should be peace. I think that's what, a little bit of my speech at the beginning is about, is there's nothing wrong with debate, and but we're getting to the point where we're fighting over points and demographics. And at the end of the day, we're fighting, and then we go home and we say, we pat ourselves on the back, what kind of mood set are we in than when we're arguing with other human beings over people in underwear, fake fighting?
Here's the thing. Even if you go back to the Monday Night War, WWE or WWF and WCW, I get them being super in to who's winning the war. Me as a fan, I was super in to who was on TV.
Yeah.
If Jericho was on WCW, I'm watching that. If Stone, so I had no care in the world about who was winning that thing. I was gonna watch what I liked, and that's realistically the fans really. The smartest thing I've seen on Twitter when they talk about the war is watch what you like, and who gives a crap about what the demo is. As long as neither company is struggling and going to go out of business, just watch what you like and go for it.
Oh man, we're sorry. We have another week to Turning Point. We're not going to get to it, but I just had this. I wanted to say, and bear with. No, you know what? This is canceled for you. Who gives a shit? I was going to say that AEW is the Colin Kaepernick of wrestling, and I mean it by this. They stood up for what was right. They did their own brand. They started their own brand. Okay? And then they say everything right. They say what's the truth. Well, opinion-based. We won't get into all that. I'm not going to go verbatim everything he said, but what he stood up for and the attention that we perceive as what it was for is 100% correct. Good for him. Awesome for the sport of football. We're all coming around. Whatever. So you are looked at this thing and you say, well, they're not going to hire me for football, but I could still play. But for some reason, you don't get hired. Yet you ask for $20 million. AEW is doing that right now, which is, yeah, man, we got all this good grace, which they do for the right reasons. I have to admit they're putting on some really good content right now. But, hey, why don't you go head to head? Oh, when push comes to shove, can you back up with your talents the words that we know are true when it all started? That's all I was gonna say. That comparison of, does that make sense? Am I on the?
Yeah, no, okay. It does. No,
all
it's one of those people who you say you want to do one thing, you say this, you say that, but you're not going to actually take the steps needed. Right. To go do it, and you're going to intentionally do stuff to make it so that you can't do it. We're not going to go up against the NFL. Right. Okay, I'm going to let you know the number of people who are like, oh my God, do I watch AEW or Monday Night Football? Is minute.
Right, yeah.
If your team is playing, let me ask you this. Assuming the Dolphins were good, or the Knicks, if the Knicks and Impact is on the same night, who you watch it?
Well, unfortunately, I chose Impact. That's why we're still here on episode 65.
I watch the Knicks.
Well, here's the thing. I can watch it later. And I don't look at any...
I'm looking... I don't have this problem. It's not a problem for me. I mean, if you want to go of which of the companies or entities that are drawing more, Fulham are actually drawing more viewers. Even though they're in the championship, they're still getting more than AW. So if they really want to go on that level, it's AW. If they like I said, if they really wanted to, go ahead and compete. But they know deep down, even if they're not saying it, they can't compete. It's WWE still drawing 1 million on their back.
They can, but the problem is, if people would look at, if they went Monday night, I think they would do really well. I don't think they would top WWE, but the problem is, if they go on Monday, they know the only thing that's going to be talked about is, are you better than WWE viewer wise? It doesn't matter if they it's just going to be So
here's the thing, and that's where my comparison was. It doesn't make AEW a bad person. It doesn't make AEW not talented. But when you have to put up or shut up, the rhetoric is no longer, wow, man, you did X, Y, and Z. That's awesome, man. You did all of this. You built this great ratings. You built this great foundation. You built 15 shows a week or whatever the fuck they do. You have a merch. You sell tickets. You do all this stuff. Yeah, we're going to go a little bit late. Sorry, guys. Give it back for that dead space in the beginning. You get all, you did all of these things. Now, if I actually get the opportunity to jeopardize that, there's no, or let me take it back. There's no benefit for them even if they win. What do you get? A couple boost for a few? Oh, we beat WWE. You already do technically. Like, I don't think the hat in which they would hang it on should be them beating Monday Night Raw. The hat that they should hang their company on is what they've already done. They've built a bomb-ass company from nothing, technically, with wrestlers and a fan with money. That's and stability, and I mean, hang your head on that. And
they're a good product.
Yeah.
It's a good show, and once again, like you said, the Jaguars are butt cheeks, and they're never going to be on Monday night.
Right.
Like, the cons probably won't own them the next time they're on Monday night, because they are butt cheeks.
They're worse than the Dolphins.
I mean, like, you just quickly, you had like, how about this? Yeah, why go head to head? I mean, you want to create a community. You want wrestling fans to be wrestling fans. Don't make them, but don't give them reason to go against each other as fans when you're just trying to put different nights so everyone gets a chance to watch everything.
I see that. And as far as a day of the week thing, I completely agree with you. As far as them poking the bear a little bit and taking some shots, I'm not a big fan of that. When TNA did it for a little bit, I was like, oh, that's funny. And then it kind of wears off quickly. Not because obviously they exist. We don't have to lie about that. The WWE is in the same universe, no matter if they want to say so or not, as AEW or as Impact as anyone else. They're human beings. Maybe not Impact, because people die. So, but anyways, back to topic. They needed WWE. AEW grew so quickly, just like TNA did, because it was the alternative to what you watch on the other channel, right? And then they quickly got some names, so they did with WCW. There's nothing wrong with what they did or how they did it. Good for them. But there's no benefit anywhere around this, and I'm gonna lose my train of thought. But you know what I'm saying? We're all on the same page.
No, like Ted Turner, when he took on WWE or WWF, he did it because he was an egomaniac. And he wanted to prove I'm better than Vince McMahon. Right.
I could do it too.
I don't think Tony is in that. So I'm completely fine with wrestlers taking shots at WWE. Like Max Caster made a joke up to Bryan Danielson that he ends more careers than Bryan's father-in-law, who's John Laurinaitis, who's the one firing people. That shit's great. So I'm happy with wrestlers doing it, but I don't want Tony Khan to sit here and take shots, because the wrestlers is just like Moose taking shots at people. That's a character thing. Tony is coming off as like an egomaniac. I'm better than you. And it's like, dude, one, when you say, I have more money than Vince does, do you? Your dad has more money. I don't know if you do.
Right. Well,
Dixie didn't have all this money. Her dad did. And at some point your dad says, no, son. Like, so that's the thing. So it's things like that where I'm like, I think it's just a dumb thing to do.
Yeah. And I don't want to lose, the site or whatever my brain's dead, but they're good on their own. Do your own thing. Let the wrestlers take the shots. I think he's trying to play more of a character, but what I was trying to say was I at the end of the day, I think he was just trying to antagonize the Beast so it would take some shots back and they can actually not make the fans fight, but make the companies respond and have some kind of rebirth and renaissance of professional wrestling. Unfortunately, WWE isn't going to do that for the most part. So, they learn their lesson. Hopefully they take a step back and say this isn't going to happen, and no benefit is going to come out of me taking shots at them or poking the bear continuously, because they're never going to. I just look desperate. I look like TNA did at that point, where I'm just, please pay attention to us. But real quick, no bing bong. We here. Bing bong, fuck that shit.
Like, in the beginning, WWE did mention AEW. Sammy,
That's true.
Sami
Yeah,
Zayn
you're right.
did this thing, said, I thought you could have asked me about AEW and asked me about that. You know, so they were in the beginning, but as soon as they realized that, okay, they're kind of creeping up on us a little bit, kind of backed
Sure,
off a bit.
but I think that's more. I think more so. It's like you could say that about maybe not Sami Zayn's, and that's to Max's point. I think you could say it about Triple H saying it because technically he's
Triple H
took shots, and that's a someone of authority. So, but yeah, no.
I've also been told, though, I read some things that him and Cody are actually really good friends. And a lot of the stuff that Cody does, like Cody has been teasing that he's like the Triple H. Like
Right.
he, when he beat, what's his face? Aleister Black, he made it look like he was going to do the pedigree and then turn it into Tiger. So there's been little things that he's done too.
So let's, before Max's thing comes true, let's get the hell off AEW talk. Impact fans, thank you for sticking with us. We love you. We didn't get to Turning Point, but obviously we have a week to talk about it next time, or to still get some stuff in. November 20th, live from Sam's Town. Live. That's very important. We'll get to that next week. Thanks for rocking with us. Craig will be back eventually. We'll give you a date. We'll lock everything in. But we love you guys. Craig, why don't you throw us out of here?
Yeah, just, obviously by now, we appreciate every little bit of support we get. Appreciate any interaction we get. And just, we appreciate you. And I guess we'll see you next time for some more nonsense live.
Yep. And big meeting for us as a team, just a little peeling back the curtains on Monday. Some new faces joining us, which we're really excited about in the direction of our little channel here. So stick with us. We'll make sure it rewards the fans as well. As we always say, one friend at a time, one fan at a time. We really mean that. We're building a community of like-minded people that can have conversation without degrading, which I dig. But look out for some talking nonsense about Impact Wrestling. Blank is... Or wait, how do you do it? Wait, Max is hashtag TNAIW. We're like the all elite things. We're gonna have some there with with new teammates that are joining the group as we kind of announcements. Yeah, as we rebrand. All right, look out for those guys. Thank you again. We'll see you next time.
Later, guys.